420. I hope you save a puff for me. And you're staying at home in your house, apartment. And if you're not, you're just getting essential items or you're working and you're still staying safe during this um, pandemic. I just want to share with you how interesting I find it that people being in isolation seem to change. It's been 4 weeks, and it's funny because I actually was texting a coworker. Actually, coworker actually texted me. I just responded back to him, and he's been out the same time as I, and I guess they've been at home, and they haven't really been doing much in the way of work. But it's interesting how we were just talking about like the issues that have been going on currently in the world, and talking about like everything from like testing to how these fools are acting up about the whole entire like liberation and freedom BS to like you know the idea that there will never be a going back to normal with all of this. Well, anyhow, some way, somewhere, he just came out, just out of the blue, and just said, "I bet you're a really good kisser." And I was just like, I didn't respond back in a way where it's just like, "Oh yeah, I am," or anything like. I was just one of those things like, I just was like, I kept it like modest, but then it became this thing where he was talking about, gee, it's like, well, if you want to have sex, whatnot. I was just like, okay. I do actually remember how it jumped off from there because I did ask him about, because he's an artist, and I asked him about him. Did he sleep with like half the models that were depicted in his work? And he said, well, he was intimate with a few of them, quite a few of them. Um, but then it became this thing where it's just like he started talking about having sex with me. And I'm like, I was just like, okay. And I told him like I came out and said, hey, listen, I don't shit where I eat. Okay, it's just one of those things that I just don't do. Okay. Because I've seen how when people become intimate, after they become intimate, then it becomes this thing where they start to lose their professionalism on the job, and a lot of them don't know how to treat one another right because or it's tied up into basically like what they're doing with one another off hours, or what they have done one. And it's just one of those things where just like I don't want to complicate relationships. I'm just one of those things that I'm happy with just being a coworker friend. That's fine, no problem. Um, but for some odd reason, he just kept on going. He's just like, well, I'm not messy. I'm not messy like all the other girls. I was like, listen, okay. I'm just like, it's already 11 o'clock in the morning, and I'm thinking to myself like, you must be drinking, and you need to put down the glass, Catherine. Put down the glass, Miss Chancellor. Just put it down. I don't need you doing this to me. Just just calm down, just like, we could talk about something now. But it's just one of those things where it just went off the rails and became this thing where like, well, what do you like sexually? And it's like, uh, men, and it's like, oh well, I feel as though you're not after a couple of exchanges, he was like, you're not answering my questions directly. You're answering them, but you're not. So I'm like, because we're texting one another. This is not something where we're talking to one another personally in front of each other's faces. But what this illustrates is a point to me that it seems as though, one, isolation has gotten to people. I mean, it's only been 4 weeks. Now I'm thinking to myself, like, I can understand this happen after like maybe like 6, 8 weeks, okay? But then again, I'm thinking to myself, like, if it went on, for 8 weeks, then it would go from just, sexual desire to like, just like cannibalism. You just like, like come over and you just gonna devour me. But it's just one of those things where I'm like, wow, it's amazing how like people not being with one another or just having someone to touch, it kind of messes with people's minds. They can't they don't get to interact with people. They just like feel as though like they're cut off, and they become like this thing where it's just like, oh, it's about like, oh, I want to, get sexual. If it's like that, you know, fine, go get yourself a sex toy or order something off of Amazon. I know it's gonna take a while, maybe like 2 weeks for it to get to you, but just like, hell, I don't know, use a toothbrush if you have to. I don't care. My thing is just like, you can do that, or you can, and even I don't even want to even recommend this. You could actually hook up with somebody over an app, and just be a one-time thing, and you take whatever precautions necessary, and you just, hey, have them come over, knock one out with you, and you're good, and you'll get your mind right, The second thing is that I find it to be one of those things where just like men who are interested in men can't just be friends with men. They have to be more. It's just one of those things where it's like almost like an unwritten rule that men, no matter if they're gay, bi, or whatever, they have this unwritten rule where they just like they gotta have a taste. They gotta have a taste. Like, oh, that looks good. I wonder what it's like. I mean, in my mind, I'm thinking to myself like, it may look good, but I'm not gonna go running after it because for all I know, nah, it probably. And it's one of those things where like I'm better off just, I'm happy with just being, being able to be platonic with somebody. But a lot of gay men just have this thing, gay, bi, whatever. It's mostly gay men though. Have this thing where they can't have adult relationships with other men unless they slept with them. Okay, and I find it be one of those things where I'm just like, no, it shouldn't be like that. It's like, why can't I just be friends with you? And it's been more than a few times that I've had friends just like, throw that shit out, be like, like just throw the innuendo, like, oh well, you can have some of me, you can have, I want to taste that. I was like, and they just say things that are just like, it's very disarming. It's just one of those things like, I mean, yeah, in a funny, joking way, you can say that when you're drunk, okay, when you're drunk, but if you're just like throwing in casual conversation, it's one of those things that it's just like, yeah, don't listen. There's a reason why I have it, and it's because I'm just not interested in you sexually, and I get that from guys that are just like, well, I'm a bottom, and I want this. I know it's your top, and I think it's just, I'm like, it doesn't work that way. Just because someone is who they are sexual orientation wise, and that they do I mean, it's not one of these things where it's a puzzle piece and just because it fits in there, it goes there. It has to match up with the image. Okay? See where I'm going with this? So it's one of those things that I think a lot of people right now need to reassess how they go about their interactions when it comes down to relationships. It's a good thing that we're all inside and we're all away from each other, and it gives us time to just think, just to ponder, and just like to go and reassess. It's just one of those things that like you can't be just like throwing it out there and be like it's one of those things where I really think that people should take isolation as an attempt for them to actually just realize that day drinking is not cool. And that really, day drinking is not fashionable. Okay, that early in the morning, and that yes, there's times where your friends or your coworkers or whatever, whoever, just want to have a platonic relationship with you, and just that's it. There's nothing more. But some people won't get this message, and I'm sure they'll continue persisting at it. So, just putting it out here. I'm just saying. I feel like Liz Taylor and Butterfield 8. No sale. Take care.